16 days. That's how long it took us to get relief supplies to the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian. For families without clean water, shelter, or medical supplies, everyone here knows that 16 days is a lifetime. We all know that when disaster strikes, every minute counts. And the real difference between an effective response and a delayed one often comes down to what happens long before that first emergency alert. Hi, everyone. I am so thankful to be here. I'm humbled to be on this stage and to have shared it with all of these wonderful speakers who have been up here this week. As Jennifer said, I lead Amazon's disaster relief for efforts across the Americas region. We have a team of us that support globally, and I'm just so thankful to have spent these last few days here with you all. I've been learning so much. I've been hearing your guys' experiences and your stories, and it's just been really impactful and really inspiring, and has given me some ideas to be able to take back and, again, do what we do and help improve what we do for you guys in disaster relief. I'm going to share how strategic preparation, partnerships, and technology are transforming how Amazon responds to disasters. But to really understand how we are doing that, how we got aid down from 16 days during those times to deliver aid to the Bahamas, we've reduced that and we're now delivering relief supplies and technology in 72 hours or less for urgent needs. So, to help you understand that journey and our journey at Amazon, I have to take you back to our first response. And I know you've heard this year a lot this week, but it was 2017. It was July, and British Columbia had just been experiencing some really horrific wildfires. And our team was just getting started. This was before I had joined Amazon, but I've heard these stories, and there wasn't a way that we couldn't do nothing. People said, "We have to do something. We have to do something." We had other teams across the company at this time and before 2017 who were supporting locally at their local FCs or doing what they could, but we didn't have anything as a part of our program, as a part of disaster relief, until 2017 when these fires broke out. This first response as a relief program was small. It focused on employee donations and corporate matching. And there was so much we didn't know. But jumping in and asking the American Red Cross and the Canadian Red Cross, how can we help? We learned some really valuable lessons about what's possible and what was needed through these early partnerships. While today Amazon's disaster response capabilities are global and they're more robust every year, when we started our program 8 years ago, we were just beginning to really understand how disaster relief worked, what the landscape was, how to show up, and how to show up well in our communities. Because we had to show up. We couldn't not do something. And we still have a lot to learn, to be honest. But just a few months after those wildfires in Canada, Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico. And if you know my team, if you've heard of Amazon Disaster Relief, you might know Abe Diaz. This is when he started. His family is in Puerto Rico, and he was working for Amazon and said, I have to help. My family's here. What can we do? How can we do more? So when this Category 5 hit Puerto Rico in September of 2017, our employees whose families were impacted began to reach out, began to say, we need to understand what we can do. We have to help. And we started to understand just a little bit about what happens when our employees and our company rallies behind these efforts. So just 2 months after that first response, where we were just doing cash and donation matching, we loaded an Amazon airplane with relief supplies for the very first time, and we flew those supplies to Puerto Rico. Being able to load that airplane with relief supplies still is something that we point to as a complete turning point for our program. It shows how we can leverage Amazon's core strengths to respond to disasters. During this time, we had to lean into our partnerships. We started forming really deep relationships with disaster relief non-partners like the Red Cross. We started asking, what do you need? What's the challenge? What's the gap for you in this space? We worked backwards from our partner's request, ensuring that we were building what was needed and what was wanted as we started to establish our response capabilities. But it was truly during those first 16 days during Hurricane Dorian that showed us that we can't just be there to respond. We needed to be ready before the disaster was striking. Those 16 days it took for us to reach the Bahamas, that was too long. We knew it, our partners knew it, and they told us it's just too long. So, listening to this insight led us to one of our most significant innovations at Amazon for disaster response, which was using Amazon assets for strategic pre-positioning of supplies and the development of our very first hub in Atlanta in 2021. Working backwards from our relief partner needs, we pre-positioned critical relief supplies in an Amazon fulfillment center in Atlanta, reducing time to deliver aid to subsequent disasters from those painful 16 days to just 72 hours or less. This was done through working with our partners and understanding what are the needs, what supplies do you need, how can we do this together? We didn't just say, we're Amazon, we know how to do this. We said, we know how to get things from point A to point B really well. But we don't know, what do you guys need when you're responding to these disasters? So we started pre-positioning things like tarps and hygiene supplies, water filtration services, pallets that are mixed pallets of product that our partners need every single time they're responding to disasters. But we also learned that the impact of a hub extends beyond speed. Research shows that 75% of disaster relief funding typically goes towards logistics costs. And our hubs provide pro bono products, infrastructure for storage and transportation support, allowing relief agencies to redirect their resources to on-the-ground response efforts. The impact of the Atlanta hub proved that we were onto something. We didn't have it quite right yet, but we were onto something. So we soon expanded this model globally, launching similar facilities in India, Australia, Japan, Germany, and at the beginning of this year, I actually had the privilege of opening one of our hubs in Mexico in Tepoztlan. But as we were growing this network of relief hubs, we were learning another really crucial lesson. And I know this isn't new to any of you guys here, but it was something that we had to figure out, how do we prepare for as Amazon, which is how do we support different regions facing different challenges with differing relief supply needs. And California's increasing wildfire threat required us to think about a specialized hub approach. So just a year ago, actually right before this conference, we opened up a hub in San Bernardino Valley, which is purpose-built specifically for wildfire response. We worked closely with our nonprofit partners and experts in this space. Many of you are actually here today. And we stocked this hub with critical items for wildfire response. We separated things into two groups. One was for equipment, one was for community needs, and we worked backwards to understand what things should be on these pallets. Things like respirators, fire-safe gloves, McLeod tools, sifters, Tyvek suits, boots. And our timing was pretty critical because less than a month after opening this hub, we utilized it during the San Bernardino wildfires. Working with our nonprofit partners, we were able to deploy essential supplies to volunteer fire brigades within 72 hours. And then again in November, we supported the Ventura County mountain fires. And in December, the Franklin fires. And our wildfire hub was proving that really great things happen when partnerships between private sector companies who are using their capabilities meet with humanitarian expertise and community voices. So today we operate 15 disaster relief hubs globally, strategically pre-positioned supplies near transportation networks. And each hub is stocked based off of data from our partners. By listening to signals about what communities need most during different types of disasters, we can ensure that the right items are ready at the right time. And through our partnerships, we can actually connect to local 501(c)(3) certified nonprofits who are the trusted members of their communities and provide supplies directly to survivors. And I want to take a second to highlight just one of the most important pieces of our program, which is that nothing happens without our partners. Partners like the Red Cross, like Jennifer and Riva, like Good 360, Cope Preparedness, CAL FIRE even helped us a lot in the beginning when we were starting to understand what the needs were for wildfire pellets and connected us with volunteer fire brigades to understand their needs as well. We're so grateful that our partners have shared their time and their expertise with us because this journey we're on is only possible because we can rely on our partners with their deep expertise in this space and combine that knowledge with Amazon's core strengths. We can't do everything as Amazon. We do have to make decisions on how we can help, but when we lean into our strengths, we can make a larger impact. Strengths like our product selection, our logistics network, our warehousing, our ability to move products really quickly, our size, our scale. We have super passionate employees that want to help, that are in these communities, that are asking, how can we help? What can we do? And something that we're really starting to build out, which is our technology capabilities. We've been listening to feedback, and we're hearing that there is a gap in the technology space, especially in disaster relief and response. And that's what communities are needing to be able to recover from disasters. So imagine having access to off the grid power, emergency communications, connectivity, real time situational awareness, drone detection, radio technology. Well, we're building a lending library for response technology where any qualified nonprofit can request specialized equipment at no cost and deploy it during a crisis. They use it, they get what they need, they have the support that they need from Amazon. And then when they're done with it, we will pick it back up, we'll reset it, and then we'll have it ready for the next partner for the next disaster. These technology items are things that we're hearing across our partners that they don't know how to use them, or they don't know how to have access to them, or they don't know even what's possible with technology and disaster relief and response. And so we're trying to step up and show people if we can put our innovation and technology behind this, we can help move this gap and close it a little bit more. So in collaboration with our relief partners and with our tech nonprofit partners, we're building technology kits, and we're developing them around 4 key areas of tech support. The first is power distribution and storage, which we know is the absolute bare minimum we need because without power, nothing works. Next is connectivity, networking, and communications. We want to ensure that organizations and first responders can coordinate response efforts and communicate needs really quickly after a disaster. Situational awareness and common operating picture technology are helping emergency managers make better decisions with real-time data. And finally, sensors, imagery processing, and remotely operated systems, providing eyes on the ground when access or personnel is limited. These kits truly became critical in our response to Hurricane Helene, when one of our food bank partners' facilities was completely wiped out in Asheville. Communications were down, there wasn't any power. Now, this was before we had finalized any of these kits. We just had prototypes, but we wanted to test and see, is this truly something that these partners need in the field? So I was actually on the ground with a colleague, and we had just gotten to Steinhatchee, Florida. We were working with a nonprofit partner down there, and they were like, we're good, Florida's prepared, we don't necessarily need you guys here anymore. And so after a couple days, we were able to pack up, and we ended up going north towards Asheville. And because we have these prototypes of power and communication, we were able to be on site with this food bank within hours of receiving a call and saying, "Manna's down. We can't get a hold of them. They can't tell us what needs they have on the ground. They have hundreds of thousands of people in this area that don't have food, but we have no idea what these needs are. So we got a call from our team in Seattle, and we don't send relief items to disaster zones or areas without specific requests. So this was putting a delay on our ability to respond because we knew people in this area needed support. We knew they needed aid and relief. We just didn't know what exactly they needed, and no one could get a hold of them. So our team called my colleague Jeff and I, who were on the road, and said, "We can't get a hold of Manna. Can you go see what's going on?" So within a couple hours, within that same day, we drove to the Manna Food Bank parking lot that they were in. We set up a power bank, we set up connectivity, we got them connected to the internet, and they were able to have a conference call with my team in Seattle to be able to coordinate the relief that they needed. This was not just our Amazon doing, providing relief. We ended up being able to, yes, provide them reefers. We were able to get them the products that they needed. But when we talked to Liz, she said, your guys' support enabled us to communicate with our national partners. We got so much support and we were able to be back online within 72 hours and support our community within 72 hours after the storm because we were able to help coordinate massive truck donations separate from Amazon. And that's the power of power and communication and connectivity. The comms and solar power batteries we set up, it was a little lifeline that brought some order to that chaos. And then again the next day, there was another prototype kit that we had, and we were working with other survivors in the Green Mountain area in North Carolina. We were doing some mapping efforts to support their search and recovery. And while we were in that neighborhood, which if you've seen pictures of Green Mountain, it was completely destroyed. And we were there so quickly after the floods subsided doing this mapping that people were still trying to figure out what to do. And so when we were there, we had these kits, we had connectivity. And so we just walked up to people and said, hey, we don't know your situation, but if you guys need to charge your phone, if you need to connect to the internet, we have these kits you can use while we're here and while we're doing this mapping effort. And this really inspired us to say, we should make this happen more. We should do more in this area. So, what are we doing about that? We are now streamlining how to get this technology into the field quickly. We're leveraging our warehousing, our transportation, and our passionate and skilled Amazonians who want to help and who are able to support organizations in setting up and using these kits. We're not only engaging our technology innovation at Amazon, but we're engaging our vast and passionate employee network who are raising their hand and saying, I want to help. That was my community. I know someone that was impacted. And here's a big key to what we're doing at Amazon Disaster Relief. We don't decide what the community needs. We listen to our partners. They're the experts in response and in relief. And again, we're the experts in getting things from point A to point B. We're great at using technology to solve complex problems and in operating at scale. And when we combine these strengths, we create real impact. And we're not done innovating. We're never done innovating at Amazon. But we're also not done learning about what we can do better. At Amazon, we will keep applying our customer obsession and our expertise to continue to innovate with our nonprofit partners in the field of disaster relief and response. So since that first wildfire response in 2017, when we just did a little employee donation matching, this partnership approach has led us to donate 26 million relief items. We've supported communities through 200 disasters. I know it says 198, but we're now up to 200. And this is globally. We're deploying technology solutions in dozens of emergency situations, and we're using Amazon's capabilities to not only benefit our customers on their best days, but during their worst days. This past January, many of you lived through the wildfires in LA, and we saw firsthand how the community came together. And many of you guys are here today, and we had employees in this area. Personally, I had colleagues that were in this area, friends that were being impacted. And I am so grateful for our partnerships and for partners helping us with our preparedness strategy before these fires broke out. Because it was through these partnerships that connected us to 29 local organizations, partners like Good 360, Preparedness, LA Strong. We were able to deliver over 500,000 essential items to communities. Our pre-positioned wildfire pallets were dispatched to LA Community and Malibu Community fire brigades. Our fresh grocery operations distributed 350 pallets of food and water to communities in need, including the Dream Center, Boys and Girls Club of Malibu, the YMCA. Prime Video, for the first time ever, provided pro bono ad space for our relief partners. And after a firefighting helicopter was struck down by a drone, our team on the ground started innovating and began to develop a mobile drone detection kit right there in the field. We worked backwards from that urgent need to create a solution at half the cost or less, especially if we're paying for it or storing it in our hubs, deploying it for people to use. We worked backwards from that need to help prevent similar incidents happening in the future. And again, I learned so much during that response. And we were able to take some of these learnings and some of the feedback from our partners on what we did deploy and what we did have in these wildfire kits, and we were able to make them better. We were able to do things like separate N95 masks. We had them kind of shoved into other pallets, but we were like, no, we need full pallets of masks to be able to rapidly be able to deploy. We needed air purifiers. We needed different kinds of boots for different reasons. Firefighters and volunteer firefighters need a specific kind of boot, and then when you're going back into your home, you need these different kinds of boots, so we had to figure out what was the best for those situations. And we were hearing about post-wildfire flooding. So we are now storing flood cleanup kits in our wildfire hub to be able to support the impact and serious threat to communities after the fire. And when I look at the difference between where we began in 2017, responding to those fires in BC, to where we are now, I can really see how far we've come in that first response. But we're not done yet. So looking ahead, we're defining how Amazon can support community resilience. We're expanding our hub networks and we're deepening our partnerships. Attending things like this is really helping us understand the needs that people are facing in their communities after different disasters. We also understand that there is this technology gap. So we're leaning in to fill that gap. And we're utilizing our expertise in this area by inventing and investing in new technologies, especially for wildfires. We're looking at things like wildfire detection. We're looking at sensors that can do sensing on a hill to be able to understand where the smoke is coming from. And we're creating purpose-built technology kits to support some of these issues that we're hearing in the field. We're working with our nonprofit partners to build more resilient communities by pre-positioning products closer to heavily impacted areas. But most importantly, we're proving that when private sector capabilities align with response expertise and community voices, we create something truly powerful. A network of response-ready hubs to help communities prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters. When Amazon started this journey, we started by asking ourselves, what if companies focused on what they did best and partnered with experts in this area in humanitarian needs and relief to help respond to what communities need most? And how do we fill those gaps? Today, I've shared how Amazon has answered that question. But imagine if every private sector did this. And I want to leave you with this thought today. It's not novel, not going to shock anyone, but it's something that I've been reminded every day. And I think it's a really true theme that I've seen threaded through everyone's talks this week. The challenges that we face from natural disasters are growing. No single organization, whether private sector, nonprofit, government, can solve any of this alone. But when we each bring our unique strengths to the table, when we truly partner together to innovate, to help communities get better after disasters. We create something more powerful than any of us could do on our own. And that's what these relief hubs represent for Amazon. It's not just buildings full of relief supplies or technology kits. They're centers of partnerships, innovation, preparation. They represent what's possible when we combine the best of what each sector has to offer in our communities. I want to just thank every person in this room for truly helping us understand needs, to our partners for sharing their stories with us, sharing, here's how we can do better, here's what we really need. These stories are invaluable to us. It's what made us go from employee matching to using Amazon's infrastructure to store and buy and pre-position product, to understanding what that type of product should be. And now it's really understanding, how does technology fit into this space and what are those technology needs and how can Amazon fill that with what we already do really great with technology. Thank you so much, Jennifer, Riva, and Natalie, for inviting us here. We're just so pleased to be a part of this. And thank you guys for being here as well.